Hello everybody, this is Trudy and welcome back to my Yin Yoga Session with Myofascial release with me. The focus for today is to release tension in the hips, and all you need is a Myofascial release ball and a mat. See you in a while. Okay, let us start with the butt area where the glute muscles are. So coming down and lie down on your back. Have your feet on the mat, knees facing up towards the ceiling. Holding the myofascial ball, I need you to lean over towards the left side as you place the ball under your right butt. I like to place the ball in the middle of the butt instead of the outer part of the butt because of this exercise that we are doing. Now from here, you're going to move the knee, you're going to open the knee out towards the side, rolling that butt muscle over the ball, and bring the knee back up to face the ceiling. Keep doing this exercise, opening up and closing. Your left leg, you can choose to keep it bent in the same way, or you can extend your leg, or you can open up the leg completely to the other side in what we call the butterfly pose. If you do not feel enough sensation and you would like to have more, you can always shift the ball slightly more to the right or slightly more to the left, slightly more on top or below. Try not to stay in one point, what we call a trigger point in myofascial release, for too long. So a general rule is maybe after 5 movements, you can shift the ball, because the butt muscle, which is the glute muscle, is a big muscle. And being a big muscle means that it has many trigger points. So it's recommended to keep moving the ball after a few rounds of opening and closing, so that you can release most of the tension in the whole glute muscle rather than just one small area. If by opening that knee out and you feel that there's a really sore, tense point that is so tight, you can stay like what I'm doing now and not move. And give your body time. Give your body time to slowly release this tension. And once you feel that that tension is getting lesser, you can again choose to move the ball to another area. So you can keep opening and closing, or you can open and hold. So these are the two options you can take, depending on how that trigger point feels to you. Now let's bring the right knee back up towards the ceiling. Bring the left knee up towards the ceiling if you have it straightened or open, and let's do the other side. So you're gonna roll over towards the right and place the ball underneath the left glute, the left butt. And same thing, you can decide what you like to do with the left leg. I personally like to open it up into butterfly, but you can always keep it the way it was, or you can straighten the knee. And you do the same thing, open and close. Open and close. Sometimes you may notice that one glute has more sensation than the other, and that is perfectly normal. Remember to not stay in one spot for too long, but try to move the ball around the muscle so that the whole area can get some relief and not just one particular spot. We have one more minute to go. Now bring the left knee back up towards the ceiling. Bring the right knee up towards the ceiling. Release the ball under the left glute and place it close to you. And then slowly straighten your knees. Just take some time here to completely relax and make a small observation on how both our butt feels, how our glute muscle feels, and see if you notice some relief of tension in that area. It's only when we are silent and we look inwards towards ourselves that we are able to be more aware when our body speaks to us. Now gently open our eyes. We're going to move to another part of the muscle that is also where the hips are. And we're going to lie on our side. So we'll start on the right side. You will extend the right arm out. We're going to rest the head on that right arm. You're going to take the ball, place it on the side. So your right knee will have to be on the mat so that your body is on its side and it can rest on the ball. Keep that right knee bent. Bring that left knee on top of the right. You can stay here and not move if that tension is too much, or you can roll forward and then lean back, roll forward and then lean back. We will do this for about 2 minutes, so take your time, no rush. And if at any point you feel that the area on the outer hips does not give you any more tight tension, you can move the ball slightly down to the outer part of the thigh. And straighten that leg. And slowly do the same. Roll forward, roll back, roll forward, roll back. Okay? If you do not feel that today you like to go down to the outer part of your thigh, you don't have to do so. It's completely up to you. We have another 1 more minute to go. Remember, the more you lean forward, the more you feel that tension. And if you do lean back to center, that's where you feel the least. And if you want to feel even more, you got to lean all the way back. Slow movements. Be kind to your body and do slow movements. We have 30 more seconds to go. And if you like to try the option of moving the ball down the outer part of the right thigh like I'm doing now, please go ahead. Good, now slowly roll onto the back. Here's the ball. And let's switch sides. So you just roll over towards the left side of the body. Same thing, first extend your left hand out, rest the side of your head onto the left arm. Make sure that your side of the hip is on the mat so that when you lift up, you can place it first on the outer part of the hips. Have the left knee bend, bring the right knee on top, and you can stay here with the support of the right hand. You can roll forward, you can lean back, or you can stay and not move. Again, we have 2 minutes here in this exercise. We have 1 more minute, so if you like to move the ball to the outer part of the left thigh, you can go ahead too. And the same thing, you can choose not to move. Or if you like to roll, you just lean forward, lean back, lean forward, and lean back. Now taking your time, roll back onto your back. Release the myofascial ball and place it away from you. And again, we're gonna lie down with the straight knees like in Shavasana. Just taking a moment to let our body absorb that tension that it has just experienced from the rolling of the ball onto the muscle. Now slowly bend your knees one by one to the chest and hug your knees to the chest and give yourself one nice hug. And you can slowly rock right and left to massage your back. And then turn over to one side and slowly come up to a seated position. Now we're coming into our Yin Yoga poses, and we're going to start with the deer pose. So you're going to bend the right knee. You can bring the foot as close as you like towards the pelvis. And then you're going to bring the left knee back, bent as well. So we usually start with the feet close to the pelvis to just do a test. So from here, you're going to bring your hands towards the front and slowly walk down as you come down to your forearms. The area of stretch here is the right butt and the right outer thigh, which is the same areas that we use the ball on. Now, if you do not feel any stretch in that area, you can shift the front foot further out from your pelvis, maybe up to the shin is parallel towards the mat. Okay, this is the maximum that I would suggest you to go. And test again, go back down. So once you shift the foot, lean again towards the left side and see if you feel that stretched in the right glute and the right outer hip. If you are still not feeling the stretch, you can extend the back leg of your deer pose as we come into what I call sleeping swan pose. Now with the sleeping swan pose, once you have the back knee extended, try to roll, tuck the toes and roll the knee such that the knee is on the mat, so that your body is able to shift towards the left and you may feel a deeper stretch here. We will stay here for 3 minutes. So take your time to find the best position to give yourself the best stretch that you need for today. So it's either in the sleeping swan pose or, like we started earlier, the sleeping deer pose. You can always change the pose. Maybe you start from sleeping deer and then you move on to sleeping swan. Or you could also start from sleeping swan, and if it feels too much for that right butt muscles and that right outer thigh, please feel free to change it back to sleeping deer. Because it's your own practice, it really doesn't matter how you look in the pose. What is most important is how you feel in the pose. And for some of my very flexible friends, if you would like even more stretch in the right butt and the right outer hip, you can even try to move your upper body. Maybe move it towards the left side and see if you can feel a deeper stretch on the right side. Or you walk over to the other side. Try and experiment for yourself on what works for you. And if you are an experienced or regular yoga practitioner, you'll be surprised how these little movements can allow you to enjoy an even deeper stretch in a pose. The first part, when we first enter into the pose, is always the most tense. And this is the reason why we stay for a good 3 minutes, so that the body can yield to the stretch. The body needs time to be able to relax and to be able to stretch to its maximum potential. And it's us who decide what is best for our body. Now we're gonna exit the pose. So if you're on your forearms, just slowly come back up. Take your time, slow. Slowly bring the right foot in if you have it away and bend as we come back to deer pose. And now we're gonna do the other side. So we're gonna switch to the other side. So again, same thing. We'll start with the deer pose. So if you're not sure, always have the foot closer towards the hip, okay, and that will really help. And first, you come back down on the forearms. And if you don't feel much stretch, adjust the front foot. And then adjust the back foot. So sleeping deer to sleeping swan. Sleeping swan is usually the most intense. However, some people requires this amount of stretch. We have another 3 minutes here. The way to really gain the benefit out of this practice is to find a variation of the pose that works for you, whether it's sleeping deer, whether it's sleeping swan, whether it's moving your upper body, but you will want to choose an option for yourself that you are able to stay still for 3 minutes. That is the challenge. And of course, at any time in that 3 minutes, if you feel that you would like a deeper stretch, you can always shift your body, shift your legs. If you're in swan, if you're in deer, you move into swan. Or if it gets too much, and if you're in swan, you can move into deer pose. We have another 45 more seconds to go. Maybe today is not the day that you find the ideal pose for yourself, but the more you practice the pose, the more you understand which variation works best for you. And it's also very normal that your right side, you choose one variant, and your left side, you choose another variant. So don't be surprised or think that is wrong, because it's not wrong. It's normal. And it's very common as well. Now slowly We are going to exit from the pose. As we take our time to enter the pose, we would like to take our time as well to exit from the pose. Now for the last pose, we're going to come into frog pose. So we're going to place our hands onto the mat and we're going to bring our knees as wide apart as we can. Okay, first option is to bring the feet closer to the hips and push the hips down towards the heels. You should feel a stretch in the inner part of the thighs or any part of the hip joint where the bone is. Come down to your forearms. If the stretch gets too much as we stay in the pose, you can push your hips forward such that the stretch gets a little lesser. And if you want more, push your hips back. The second option is to take the full expression of frog pose. So bring the ankle in line with the right knee. Bring the ankle in line with the left knee. And same thing, push the hips back. Come down to your forearms. And keep pushing the hips back. We will stay here for another 2 minutes. So breathe and hold and stay. Like in all the other poses, choose a shape or a variant that allows you to stay for as long as you can. And if at any point in time the stretch gets too much, just shift your hips forward. And once you think you're ready to stretch even more, push the hips backward. This pose can be very intense if you have very tight hips. So do take your time to enter the pose and take your time to exit the pose. As it is a challenging and a demanding practice, be kind to yourself to take the best variant that works for you. If you're not sure, just experiment and listen to your body. We only have another 30 seconds left, so breathe through it. Focus on your breath. Now slowly come onto your palms and start to bring the knees together one by one until you can come into a seated position and lie down in your Shavasana. As you lie down on your back, completely relax your body. Relax your arms and your legs. We only stay here for about a minute. So if you would like to take a longer Shavasana, please go ahead. So keeping the eyes closed, focus on your breathing. Take deep breaths through the nose. Extend long exhalation through the nose. wiggle your fingers and your toes. Bend one knee and bring them to the chest, one by one, and slowly hug the knees to the chest. Start to rock, right and left to massage the lower back. And slowly turn over to one side to come up to a seated position. Sitting up straight and tall, let's bring the palms together to the heart center. Closing the eyes, let us bow down our heads, and we just take a moment here to thank ourselves for finding the time to do this practice. Then opening your eyes. Namaste everyone. Thank you for joining me today.